welcome back to the Black Tornado Podcast. I am your host, Adam.
I'm here.
And today, we have a very special guest. There are two things in this world that I love. One is the musical Annie. And two is today's special co-host, Corey Stump.
Hello, everybody.
Am I dog shit over here or something?
Well, no, without you, the show doesn't run properly. But I'm saying,
I don't love you.
Everybody knows. No, everybody knows that. Shut up. I talked you up for 2 hours on the first fucking episode, and then we got all the goddamn. Well, I told them. Then we got all the messages. I like the English guy. Ian is good. Ian makes show better. Yeah,
I keep telling you, Adam, just stop cutting me out. Stop editing me so much, and that will go away after 1 week. People will go, that guy's a dickhead.
No, tons of editing is necessary. Yet I cut myself out a ton of the time. Anyway, so we've got Corey in the house today. This is really fun because this is something we've been talking about for a good while. And old Black Tornado people will already know Corey when we did Hail Shot Takes Over. Can't see it right now. Corey is wearing one of the very limited first run Black Tornado t-shirts, which I don't even have one of those. So that's
I'm still surprised I put this on for the first time. I think I haven't worn this in like 6 years, and I was still surprised that it says XL on it. And I'm a 3XL.
Yeah, I wear it.
If you're a high school aged girl a few years ago, you'd be posting that all over Facebook going, I still fit into my dress.
Right. Yeah, I bumped up to a 2, but the original run on those shirts, just extra large, which bummed a lot of people out. But to be fair, there was only a handful of shirts, and it was
and
just
there's a lot of fat metal fans.
That's very true.
If I remember right, when you brought this to me was that get-together we had, and I played the show on stage with this shirt on that night.
Mm-hmm, there's pictures of it.
Yep. Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, there's pictures of that. Yeah, so since we're on the topic of shirts, just real fast, I'm thinking around the fall, we'll start the pre-orders for the Black Tornado podcast t-shirts to avoid just getting one size or whatever. I'm going to run a pre-order. Pre-order will go for a month or two, give everybody time to be able to grab one, and you'll just submit your size. So then once the pre-orders are closed, then the shirts won't be available because I'm only going to press as many as were requested. So anyway, in the fall, you'll have that to look forward to. But as always, we want to jump right into music. And since we have Corey from Ruthless Hustle, we are going to start and end today's episode with Ruthless Hustle songs. So we're going to get right into it. This is Ruthless Hustle with Anthrax.
Chance, only way out is death. As you lay
The first thing I noticed about that, the drum intro, I really like and I've written this in my note to make sure I emphasize this. I love the loose groove feel of the drum intro, but then I've put musically loose, not shit. Because there's a difference between being out of time and being behind or ahead of the beat. And I also, the first thing that drum intro reminded me of, what Van Halen song is it? That I don't know whether you know the story, but the first 4 seconds is actually Eddie Van Halen's Ferrari engine.
Right.
Is it Hot for Teacher?
Yeah.
Yeah. That sort of around the beat feel, I fucking loved on that. It really got it going.
To give an insight on when that was written, when I wrote Anthrax as the riff, the main riff, I just did the riff. I didn't come in with a idea of how I wanted the drums, and the drummer at the time did his stuff with the drums, but then while writing the song as a complete whole, we came up with the idea as a small lead into the song. So yeah, I absolutely love it now. And that was with the old lineup. With the new lineup, we've actually made it a little bit more fresher. And it's funny to sit back and realize how it is then and now. So yeah,
because they evolve as you play songs, don't they? Like you start working out what works and what doesn't.
Yeah, the drummer we have now in RH, Ruthless Hustle, is a different drummer and a different bass player, and the dynamics have definitely changed. I
mean, the rhythm section drastically changes the feel of it, because that's like a real good headbanger of a song, all the way through. And I really, it was just the feel that drum intro gave it. Wasn't you weren't expecting it. It was like, I love, Adam knows this, I bang on about groove, and I hate fucking people who sound like machines and stuff like that. I like people who understand the feel of music and the looseness of it.
Well, when I wrote that song, and give flowers to Matt Reish, I actually stole that riff and the song title from him. And when RH was starting to pick up momentum, I actually messaged him. I was like, hey, are you comfortable with me doing this? And he said, absolutely. And he gave me the blessing. Yeah, he did. I will always credit my guitar playing somewhere in the realm of Matt Reish, because he had a big influence of being in a band with him for so long.
Matt Reish influences everyone, whether he means to or not.
And right now he's saying, stop it.
Yeah.
I messaged him trying to work with him, and he was like, I'm busy, dude. I'm like, that's cool. But you've written a banger of a song there.
Thank you.
It's a really, really good song. It was just.
I wouldn't say I wrote a banger of a song. My band as a whole.
Yeah. Well, I use you as your band. You know what I mean? At the moment, you are the representative.
No, that was a good song. So isn't that that's become like a fan favorite now, right?
When we dropped the album, that just skyrocketed, and I sat looking at my computer, going, "What is going on? What?" And from the fan perspective, I wanted to know what it was. And I know I took into consideration Adam when we were talking about it. He goes, maybe people can confuse Anthrax with Anthrax, and maybe that's why they thought that. I mean, granted, the breakdown in the song is kind of Slayer-esque Anthrax breakdown-ish.
Yeah.
I mean, and you could use that argument. No, it's cool. I was just going to say, you could use that argument, though. Like, that's just stupidity, really, because you could use that argument with Machine Head and Deep Purple.
Yes.
And hundreds of bands take their names of their songs from other bands' names or lyrics in there. So that's just stupid people who are going to confuse that.
Black Tornado sure did.
Well, and what you coined on, Ian, like the whole groove thing. I am a sucker for groove. I am a sucker. You give me a song with a killer groove, you got me hooked. I don't even care if there is a breakdown in it.
Got to have some swing in it. Any music for me has got to have, because that's where the groove comes from. Like, straight stuff's boring. It's got to have, musically, it's the triplet swing thing.
Right.
But so much metal is based around that makes you move your feet and your head and gets you.
And the one thing the one thing like with besides like the bass line that ties into the guitar playing, but like the lyrical content, my lead singer Tyson did, and shout out to him. You know, I don't know where the man gets his influence. I let everybody have their spot, and we also, if we are stuck, we also contribute to their ideas also, you know. So I maybe have helped him with like concepts of an idea of the song, but as far as the lyrical thing, that man is a genius to me.
Can I ask you just a random question as a musician to musician? When you're writing a song,
mm-hmm.
do you have a standard sort of approach to writing a song? I.e., do you start with a guitar or a bass and then because I tend to, me and my mate are very different. He always starts with drums and bass first.
Right. In Ruthless Hustle and here of recent anything that I do, right, I just strictly stay to guitar, and I usually go through influences that I have to possibly reach for an idea, or I just start playing. It varies.
Oh, that's cool. It's just because I've always been, because like I'm very limited in the way I work,
right.
And I work very well in the framework I've developed over the last fucking 20 years working on my own. But
I guess it goes down to. Oh, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, if I'm working with other people, I've always tried to like do it their way, because I'm like, I'm limiting myself so much, and I've always found it interesting the different ways people's brains start. Mm-hmm. So that's the hardest bit, the starting. Once you start, the song tends to write itself, doesn't it? And you get the one thing I always find very difficult is if I'm determined to write something and I'm forcing it, that's where I become blocked. Yeah. That's what I get. If you try it, if it's not happening, it's not happening.
Yeah. The one thing I forget who it was that said that, but they would keep a pen and paper right next to him because he was a lyricist. And he said his best work was like right before he falls asleep. And it's like, wow, I wish I could actually keep a guitar right next to me before I fall asleep, because I could probably come up with a banger riff.
I know somebody who used to keep a guitar in their toilet. And he said that was when he wrote
Slash.
No, but one of my mates, like somebody I know, said all of my riffs have been while I've just been sat having a shit. And like, you know, that thing where you sit there for 10 minutes because you're avoiding everyone else in the house. Because like, I'd just sit there with a guitar on my lap and just noodle on my guitar while I was having a shit. Like, that's where all of my riffs came from. I can't imagine playing guitar while you're pooing.
Inspiration will strike at the strangest times.
I wonder how the inspiration would come as you're being constipated.
That's when you...
Or the opposite, and you're providing yourself a blast beat.
Well, see, when you're constipated like that, that's like a doom riff, you know, that's nice and slow.
And hard.
That's true, yeah.
Yes, slow and hard. Yes, that's your constipation riff.
1 BPM.
Yes, 1 BPM. Now, like you said,
exactly, yeah.
Now, like what you said, when you have diarrhea, though, that's more of your grindcore, your blast beats.
I mean, I'd argue that's the vocals
this is
as
where
well.
Things get really. Now, this is where it gets really confusing. The slam genre.
Yeah,
it can be really slow and really fast.
Yes.
My issue with the slam genre isn't the genre; it's the fucking twat dancing that they do around it. That I sent. Do you remember that video I sent you, Adam?
Yeah.
That guy who just picked up the handrail and started smashing people. I was like, that dude would get glassed if I was there. Like, I would not be fucking around. I'd be knocking that guy out, going, "What the fuck are you doing?"
People are fucking assholes. People that do that are assholes.
I'm an asshole.
Do you do that?
I slam dance.
I'm all for moshing, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not down for swinging.
Yeah, moshing. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, I swing. But the thing is, okay, and taking it from a person from the outside perspective who is very respectful, and Adam can protest that I'm very respectful. I will go. There's a point in time for everything. I will keep myself in the middle of a pit unless it's one of my closest friends. And I'll crowd kill on them, but any pedestrian that is a stranger to me, nah.
That's cool, because that's fine, because you're in like this guy in this video. There was a whole group of people in a pit, all slam dancing, all swinging for each other. It was all good. Then there was this one guy who was about 6'4" and probably, well, you do it in pounds, so it'd be like 300 and something. Like,
he was a big boy.
Guy.
Yeah, he was a big boy.
Just starts going up to people in the queue at the bar and punching them, and then he picks up a handrail and just starts smashing.
That's what they call quote unquote crowd killing.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, I mean, the venue, that guy would not be allowed in my venue if I owned a place.
No.
Oh, hell no.
And again, it goes back to there's a proper time for.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything. It goes back
it's
to
the same with moshing. If you're all in a pit and you're all like you're signing almost an unwritten contract by being in there. I'm accepting I'm at risk of getting caught here, and if you're all swinging, that's fine. You're like, no, I want to get punched, otherwise I wouldn't be in here.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like not want to get punched, but you want to run the risk. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it's like you said, if you're in the middle of the pit, you're consenting to whatever's happening in the pit. But if you're me and you're standing at the bar, you're enjoying your $10 fucking beer, and some asshole comes up and fucking hits me while I'm having a drink, no. Yeah. Fuck you. I'm not in the fucking pit. I'm trying to have a drink. If I'm in the pit, I'm consenting to whatever's going on in the pit. But if I'm in the back, or if I'm at, I've had some of the pits come all the way out to the merch table. I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
I've started pits at the back of the room because we couldn't get to the pit at the front, and everybody was fine with that. Like, that's cool. You're like, no, the people who don't want to be involved in it move, and that's cool.
I know this gets off the topic a little bit, but what blows my mind is seeing mosh pits at rap shows. I'm not saying nothing against it, but it just blows my mind. Weird. I was like, not that. Yes, it is weird, but it's crazy to see how moshing has evolved.
Oh yeah, it's become like a cultural thing. Like it's almost like jostling at a rap show, though.
Next is circle pitting.
Corey, I gotta stop you based off what you're saying. I know for a fact you've seen great rap mosh pits because you've been to ICP. Pits are fucking awesome.
And they were okay. So here's my question. Okay, and this could be for the people to bleep bloop in their comment sections of Black Tornado Podcast. Who do you think did the mosh pits first in rap? Was it Beastie Boys? Was it House of Pain? Or was it ICP?
It wouldn't have been ICP. It would have been earlier than that. Probably would have been earlier than the Beastie Boys. But Beastie Boys had pits.
I wonder if it was Public Enemy.
If it was pre-Anthrax, absolutely not. Post-Anthrax, totally.
Oh, for sure.
Totally.
You could be well onto like Public Enemy could well be the origin, like in the rap scene. That probably possibly Ice-T.
Oh yeah. Well.
Oh, you do have a point.
Well, pre-body count, probably not. With body count, absolutely. But by the time body count was a thing, we had already had groups, more rock rap established groups like the Beastie Boys. And
you say that, but body count, although you're technically right, they didn't. It turned out because I'm into hip hop. I'm not into modern rap and fucking trap and gangsta.
No, we all love body count here.
I love body count. Even some rap.
They were around. Long before they recorded anything, though, he was doing gigs with that band.
Right. Yeah.
A long time. Like while he was a rapper. So although body count wasn't known, he was still doing that thing.
Right.
Very early on.
That's a good question. I have a friend who is a hair or two older than I am, and he grew up with a lot of the stuff that we listen to now. You know, it's classic hip hop. To him, he was a kid when it was coming out. So I have to ask his perspective on because he's attended. Name anybody big. This guy's seen them before. You know, probably when he's a teenager. So I want to ask. He's seen his earliest recollection of pits.
You know who I would have loved to see? I would love to see Scarface.
Oh yeah, Scarface would have been good.
Or Ghostface Killer. I mean, they're probably still doing shows, but
yeah, I think Ghostface still good. I think Ghostface still tours. So
to be fair, the one if we're talking rappers and stuff that I wish I'd seen ODB.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was
R.I.P.
And the thing is as well, like I don't know whether you know much about it, but he wasn't into rap and stuff. Like
he was just an off the wall guy.
He was into like old school jazz and soul.
Right.
Yep.
Like, I just love it because he was a musician.
Well, and I think a lot of that had to do with RZA also, because RZA was he's deep into that. He's very deep into that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you say if I don't know, trust me. Anytime music culture, I love it. I'll go dig deep in for weeks.
I'm happy to be talking to somebody like me who's not limited to a specific area of just music. Is what I like.
Right.
Yeah, it's not just one genre. And I think with the show, I think we do a pretty decent job of. I mean, it's all metal at the end of the day, but there's a lot of differences, like the band that Ian brought in, Hema, very different than like a lot of, the grindcore, black metal that we might play. It's a nice change. Against the Grain.
You guys have played some decent black metal stuff that I'm just sitting there like,
Against the Grain is another one that, leans into, like Ian called it, was like a, kind of skate punky, kind of like Offspring kind of vibes, which is really cool because it makes us where we don't have to limit ourselves to only super, super heavy stuff. We can kind of lean into, really anything. I tell people all the time, if the riff is good and there's some groove to it, there's a pretty good chance that we'll play it. So
the one that still stands out for me, well, there's two big standouts for me. One is that, was it Bipolar Architecture?
The German dudes.
Modern.
That was really cool.
Like that was right up my alley because it was them pushing as many things together. And I'm still really partial, Adam, and I know I'm sorry because they're one of my picks, but These Strange Explosions.
Love that band. So happy that you brought them to my ears because, again, probably a band I never would have found on my own, or maybe, with how much time I spend on Bandcamp, but it would have taken me forever.
I mean, you're not going to find a local band from the UK easily.
They have, I'll say this, and this is not for probably almost a whole nother year now, but I would say These Strange Explosions have a very good chance of winning the Golden Tornado.
Up there for me.
Yeah, they're definitely contenders for winning the Golden Tornado next year.
I have got some secret banger suggestions up my sleeve, though, Adam. So.
Good. I can't wait to fucking hear them. All right, we're talking about the fucking Wu-Tang Clan and all kinds of nonsense. It has nothing to do with what we're supposed to be discussing.
We are a music podcast, Adam. I refute that claim.
and that's how Black Tornado always works. We always end up getting completely sidetracked. So, after discussing the first Ruthless Hustle track, let's jump into super old school Black Tornado. Have probably played almost every song these guys have written, especially if you listen to old Black Tornado like Corey's got on. We're going to listen to Handsome Prick. This is Hold On to the Night Stalker.
Don't
the first time I ever heard Handsome Prick was actually in attendance to a show, and I'm pretty sure, Adam, you were there, was at Big Shots.
Yep.
And wasn't that Goat Horror headlining?
That was the night we saw Goat Horror. It was one of my favorite concert experiences because we got to watch Goat Horror play for 25 fucking people.
Right, dude, it was next to nothing. As much as like it sucks for like the main headliner band, I appreciate those shows even more because you feel like you're at home watching a band.
Yeah, I feel like I booked Goat Horror to play in front and a bunch of buddies. And I'll give Goat Horror this. Not that anybody in that band's ever going to hear this podcast, but I'll give them this.
Give yourself some credit, Adam.
They might, but
I'll actually send this to Sammy so he hears it.
Yeah, there you go. Well, they played with the intensity of playing in front of 10,000 people.
Oh yeah,
they didn't tool down their show because they were playing in front of maybe 30 people. They had just as much fun as we did. And I think us as a crowd, I think with those 25 people, we moshed harder. We fucking jumped higher. We yelled louder.
Oh, yeah.
Because we had to make up for the room not being full. And I think that the band really appreciated that. So I'm going to go ahead and say...
My Go Horror banner appreciates that.
Yes. I'm going to go ahead and say out of the hundreds and hundreds of shows I've seen in my life, that Goat Horror show will always stand out because of the circumstances. And it was really cool. You know how most times you go see a band and the band exits the stage. They walk off to the right or whatever. Goat Horror just kind of jumped into the crowd and just kind of like walked around shaking people's hands.
Yeah.
It was really cool. It was really unique. And then I remember at the end of the set, everybody was hanging out at the merch table.
Yep.
And it was really fun. It was almost like everybody got a VIP meet and greet package that day.
Had the same experience. I got the double dose of Goat Horror and Crowbar on tour, and like only 15 people were at a venue near me, which is like 45 minutes away from me. And again, like how you're saying, Adam, had the same experience. It was beautiful.
Yeah. All right, back to Prick. We're talking about Goat Horror too much.
But seeing Handsome Prick at Big Shots, that was one of my top 5 favorite moments at Big Shots. R.I.P. Big Shots.
R.I.P. Big Shots.
So that being said, Adam, what's your favorite memory of Big Shots?
Favorite memory of Big Shots? Off the top of my head, Corpse and Cattle Decap on Halloween night, just because of how the crowd energy was completely insane that night. I have a lot of good. I never had a bad experience at Big Shots. That was a great venue. And seeing Prick there multiple times was cool, because the first time I think I had saw them, you guys had played with them. And that was the Goat Horror gig.
No, we didn't play with Goat Horror.
No? When did you guys play with Prick at Big Shots?
We never played with Prick.
No?
Sadly, no.
I thought you guys played with them. Oh. Nope. I've been to so many shows at Big Shots, I can't remember who played with who.
So
I thought you guys played together.
Now, Handsome Prick had came out to the Crowbar show that we played.
Right.
Now, we did that. But besides you saying my favorite memory, but it would be number 2 and a tie for second place. We opened up for Crowbar there. But it would have to have been with that band, it was probably the biggest besides doing the Full Terror Assault shows. But actually, I take that back. We did play with Handsome Prick at Full Terror Assault. My bad. Anyway, back to the point. My old band, we opened up for Super Joint Ritual. Well, Super Joint.
Yeah.
Gotta say it, Super Joint. And that was just I saw Super Joint when Uranium Infused, and I never thought a day in my life would I ever be opening up for a band like that. And then fast forward 20 some odd years later, I'm standing right next to Bill Anselmo.
Yeah.
I know the dude's controversial, but
Did you get much chance to interact with them as a band, or was it just a fly-by?
Not really. Because
I know these situations, it's so tight scheduled.
So at Big Shots, it was so, I wouldn't say tight-knit, but the owner at the time would let people do like they would help out with like security or something, and you could go wherever you want. And I was one of those people that were fortunate enough to go stand side stage, and a friend of mine's son had actually gotten pulled up on stage, and they wouldn't for some reason let him through. And the main security guy was like, "Hey, do you know this kid?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Can you stand with him?" Bill comes off, shakes my buddy's son's hand, and goes, "Are you the babysitter?" And I'm like, "Yes, sir." But yeah, that's one of my favorite.
Was that the kid that later in the set they ended up? Remember, his parents had big ear muffs for him, and Phil brought him up on stage. And didn't he sit on like a floor monitor or something?
He sat on a floor monitor, and then he drank Phil and Selma's root beer.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was really cool. Again, like that kind of little stuff like that at Big Shots was pretty common. Corey and I discussed this one last night, but Ian, I'm sure you remember the movie Ace Ventura with Jim Carrey.
Yes, I did.
And that's how Corpse got thrown into mainstream media. Well, at the Halloween show with Cannibal Corpse and Cattle Decapitation, during Cannibal Corpse's set, a guy with I'm pretty sure his hair was fake, but he had the big like pompadour.
He had the whole 9 yards.
And he had the Hawaiian shirt, and he jumped on stage, and then he jumped into the crowd, and George stopped singing and like laughed for a second and jumped back into the song. It was just really cool because it was Halloween night, and like what perfect timing, for that to happen. So a lot of good memories of Big Shots.
The other good memory I'm going to share with that one was George was on stage and goes, "Well, I was going to go as Chris Barnes for Halloween, but nobody would take."
Yeah.
And you heard the whole crowd go, "Ooh."
Yeah.
Did he say the word "nobody likes cunts"?
No.
That's what I think Chris Barnes is. A massive cunt.
I'm not going to get into Chris Barnes.
We talk way too much about Chris Barnes. Way too much about Chris Barnes. We all have the same opinion of Chris Barnes. Well, at least Ian and I do. We have the same fucking opinion.
See, and I love Cannibal Corpse, and I love 6 Feet Under. I love old 6 Feet Under. I do not like the new. I like the guitar, the instrumental work of new 6 Feet Under, but I do not like.
I will say though, I feel like I should say this because I bag on people a lot, and like part of the reason why I think some people don't think I'm a dickhead on this podcast is because I do show the other side occasionally as well. I will say personally, I think singers is the hardest. Well, it is the hardest instrument to maintain as you get older because it's the only one that's part of your body. Like to a certain extent, you can change how you play a guitar if you like. Keith Richards is a good example. As his fingers, he got terrible arthritis. He just started changing how he played slightly to adjust for it, and you can do that as a drummer to a certain extent. Like Def Leppard's drummer lost a fucking arm, learned to re-drum. You can do it as a guitar player as you get older. You can learn to slow the tempo of the songs down. But if you're a singer and your voice goes when you're 40, you can't get it back. Do you know what I mean? And so like it's a bit of a shitty situation for singers sometimes because obviously musicians tend not to look after themselves that well, and singers are the ones who need to look after themselves the most.
I'm going to say something. I'm going to say something to the whole Chris Barnes, and I'll actually speak on it, and then I'm dropping it. Cool. I read in an article that Chris Barnes stopped smoking weed. I was like, what does that mean? He can find his voice again?
Now, I'll say this, going off of what you just said. A friend of mine hit me up last week. We went fishing, and he asked me if I'd listened to, apparently there's very new 6 Feet Under. And I said, no, of course I haven't listened to new 6 Feet Under. And he goes, no. He goes, Chris stopped doing X, Y, and Z, and he actually like worked on his vocals again. So
he did, but it still sounds the same to me.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like early 6 Feet Under or early Cannibal.
To move it away from him, generally for me, you can apply to say Vince Neil,
right?
And you can regain things to a certain extent if you improve your health and things. Because with him, it's because he's fat and I'm gonna say this, you can cut it out, but. I was watching a video of Sammy Hagar, right? Went to Vince Neil's house.
Yeah.
And the first comment sums up Vince Neil's problem because Vince Neil's like, oh yeah, I'll show you a tour of my house. And they don't go upstairs first. He takes him to his man cave, right? They walk in his man cave and he's got a sofa and a big TV and he's got all of that. And he's got a massive kitchen, right? Sammy Hagar's like, oh, really nice kitchen. What have you got in your fridge? Blah, blah, blah. And you're like, yeah, cool. Then Vince Neil goes, right, I'll take you upstairs. And they walk up a set of stairs onto the main house. They come out in a kitchen. And the first comment is, no wonder Vince Neil's so fucking fat. He can't even be bothered to walk up the stairs for the food.
And that's where Big Mac 103 with Kickstart My Heart came into play.
that fucking famous one of Kickstart My Heart where every word is just gibberish.
Yeah.
103. But like,
edit.
I might keep
fuck editing it.
I might keep it. That's good.
But like, my point is like, he actually did improve a few years ago slightly because he got back with Motley Crue and he had that famous thing where he was like, no, I need to improve my health and stuff. And he did a little bit. And there were some shows where you're like, okay, you're not good, but you're significantly better than you were a couple of years ago.
Well, two people to look directly at if you want to look at people that have taken care of themselves, both their body and their voice, which, you know, kind of goes one and the same, is look at Bruce from Iron Maiden and look at Rob from Judas Priest. They're both up there age-wise, and they both sound absolutely phenomenal because both of them...
God.
Yeah, oh yeah, Halford rules. But Halford and Bruce both knocked everything out. They knocked out the drugs. They knocked out that kind of stuff. They went to taking care of their bodies, healthier living. And that's why Rob can still run across both ends of the stage. And Bruce, and Bruce too. I mean, these guys, they don't come out and grip the microphone stand like they're going to fall over. They're running back and forth. They're jumping up and down. And there's people younger than them that can't do half of that because they don't take care of their bodies. Older you get, the more you got to do it.
I'm one of them. I'm guilty.
No, I mean, a lot of people are, but I'm just saying, look at what happens when you take those steps, when you put that self-care in, then you're able to run for 2.5 hours while a giant, monster chases you around, and you can run around stage. It's because you're taking care of yourself.
To bring it back around, there are options for singers. I mean, like Phil Anselmo, who we were talking. This is what I say to bring it back round nicely for a smooth little
transition
for you, Adam.
Yeah,
to finish this section. Phil Anselmo famously blew his voice out with his drugs and pain pills and fucking coke and all of that stuff and the drinking, but he realised it fucking ruined it, and he adjusted the way he sings.
I mean, Scour was amazing.
Yeah, and he's been amazing. He's better. He's almost as good as he was in his long-haired cargo shorts days.
Right
at peak Anselmo. He's almost back, but he's different now. He's just not the same. He sings differently because he can't sing the same way because he ruined his voice.
Right.
But he has gone, right, okay, I'm not quitting. What I'm going to do is learn to do it a different way.
Yeah, I'm going to adjust to my current situation, and I'm going to run with it, which is smart. I mean, that's what everybody should do.
But Vince Neil, for instance, doesn't.
Talking about old school stuff kind of leads into our number 3, kind of in a way. The more I'm looking at my notes.
All right, go ahead. Good.
The number 3 song. Are we going to go ahead and talk about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. The number 3 song is Knee Deep in the Dead. I cannot remember the song title.
Brain Death.
This band is a bunch of just 3-piece band, sweetheart of a guys, Josh, Joel, and Todd. Love those guys to death. And yeah, this is Brain Dead. Knee Deep in the Dead is one of those bands from Indiana that has a long legacy of just playing shows and being one of those killer type bands. And I honestly, when I first started forming the idea around Ruthless Hustle, I was like, I wanted to take everything I've ever been influenced, let it be hardcore, metal, rap, and just throw it in a blender, and which is kind of what Knee Deep did. If you ever listen to any of Knee Deep stuff, it's all groove-oriented death metal, and I'm pretty sure there's some solos. I don't know if I've ever heard any solos in a Knee Deep song, but it's just straightforward, and that's kind of what I wanted to do with Ruthless Hustle. And then at the time, I didn't even have a name for Ruthless Hustle. I just wanted to make music, and then me and my lead singer got together and we started brainstorming ideas, and that's where we came up with that. And then
a fucking great name, by the way.
Thank you. If anybody that knows me, that how much I'm influenced by hip hop, Ruthless actually came from Eazy-E's record label, and then I was like, well, there's got to be something else.
Records.
Yeah, Ruthless Records. And then I was like, there's got to be something else added to this. And I was like, well, I'm always wanting to go. I was like, hustle. So Ruthless Hustle was born, and we put the name, and then the rest kind of just speaks for itself.
When I heard the name first, I thought it was a hardcore band.
I mean, there is hardcore elements.
Sure.
The breakdowns, maybe the chugging riff, but a lot of the chugging riffs can go back to like thrash metal.
Right.
Yeah. There's different ways to chug.
Yeah.
Like for instance, if you're just doing a whole note chug, you're playing doom. If you're doing triplets, you're probably doing thrash, like new wave British heavy metal type, Maiden type, gallopy stuff. But there's different ways to chug, and they completely influence the feel of a song.
But if you go through our track listing and you see some of the songs that we've come up with, there's actually not only hardcore, there's also, new metal. Songs. Like there's a song we have on our album called Smoking Song, and it's been called our novelty song. Thank you, Adam. But that song is straight influenced off of some new metal bands. And to pick a few out of the air, Godsmack, Korn, and Seven Dust.
Yeah.
Everywhere, you can't make a new metal song without Korn being one of the influences, because that feel is just part of new metal.
Yeah. And you know what? It took off. It took off like sliced bread.
Good. Oh, that's good. So just real quick, I mean, this will air, so probably not like shows or anything. But what about music? You guys, is there new Hustle stuff coming out, or what's going on?
So right now we're with the new lineup. We are picky and choosy, and that kind of ties into the future of that. I was going to get into that a little later.
Okay.
But yeah, the new lineup with our new bass player, and I shouldn't say his current situation, but how he goes about his day-to-day life outside of the band. It's picky and choosy on shows that we do. We are writing. We actually have written 2 songs since he has joined. No, one. 2 of them were already written. But again, when that bass player came, when Aaron Nelson, shout out to Aaron Nelson, when he came in, he actually just did a complete flip on us. And, you know, anybody that brings it knows that you bring a new person into the fold, everybody has to mold.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean,
it doesn't always click.
Yeah,
I was talking about this to my dad the other day, actually, funnily enough, because my dad's been a musician all of his life, but he's never played with other musicians.
Right.
And like,
I mean,
sorry, I was just going to say, I was just explaining to him that like probably 8 times out of 10 you can play with somebody and go, look, you're really good, but I don't feel any ideas come in. It's just not
right. I mean, he did when he definitely came in. He studied the music and made it his own, and it was one of those where the stuff that we already knew, we had to mold our style to his style, and it works now. Like
that's good though, because it brings new influences to
even with our first show with him and second show, and it has just constantly gotten better. Everybody says it sounds harder than we've ever sounded before, and which I'm happy about.
Yeah, that's good to hear.
Yeah,
it's always good to hear that your band's better than anybody's heard before.
Yeah. But we're writing. We're planning our anniversary show. It's 3-year anniversary, which is Ruthless Harvest. It's out at the Boogie Barn at Warsaw, Indiana, which is a dead zone for local shows, and we're literally going against the grain, quote unquote.
Well, what's the date on that? Because if it's
October 12th.
Oh, okay. No, the people will hear it before then.
Sorry to the thing.
Well, no, that's what I just told you a minute ago. I'm more concerned about putting out show dates if they're too close. Right. But if it's something all the way out in October, people will hear this. People will hear this before that happens.
I can't really plug this show that we have coming up. It's a personal party show. It's it's actually out by you.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and it's a yearly thing. And a friend of ours through the scene said, "Hey, you guys come back on?" And it's the 1-year anniversary with Josh. It's going to be Aaron's 4th show with us, I believe. Yeah.
Very cool. That'll be a good time. You have to let me know how it went.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's jump into our next track. Corey, you know these guys pretty well. And if anybody hasn't guessed by now, Corey helped curate today's playlist. So he either knows these bands, is in these bands, or has some kind of interesting back and forth with them. So go ahead and introduce our next band.
The next band that we're going to play is Hamar, and this next band is called Hamar, and it's Ingested.
Come
they from Indianapolis?
The drummer is from Indianapolis. I don't know where their new bass player is from, but I know Christopher. I think he's from very close to the Lafayette area, maybe.
Okay, cool.
I could be, or Converse, one of the two. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure where he lives. Maybe at Marion.
But they're Indiana boys.
Yeah, they're Indiana boys. Like Hamar, Knee Deep, RH. It's all Indiana based today.
Is it?
Yeah, it is. Every band is Indiana.
Because Prick's out of Dyer.
Oh, I thought they were from Indiana.
They are. Dyer, Indiana.
Oh, duh.
I've got to say, Dyer is a terrible place for a name to live. Where do you live? Oh, it's Dyer, mate.
Dyer.
I got, there used to be a band called...
I'm just realizing this right now.
Same.
All of these bands are from Indiana.
But there you go. We've got a theme.
All right, this is the Corey Stump / Indiana special.
No, it's Corey Stump's Indiana special.
Yeah.
Right.
We need to get the music like a Charlie Brown.
Corey Stump's.
It's the Indiana special. All right, this is officially a double theme episode. We've never done one of those before. It's two themes in one. It's the Corey Stump episode and the Indiana episode.
What a way to figure out that it's double themed when you're halfway through the episode.
Yeah, halfway through, the audience is figuring it out, and so are we. So did you ever do shows with Hamar or just see them live?
So I've seen them live like twice, maybe 3 times. We have tried to set up shows. It's just scheduling has not linked up.
Yeah.
Really,
because they're still active, correct?
They're very active. They actually just signed to a record label. They just dropped a new EP.
Awesome.
Or an album, one of the two.
Yeah, awesome.
And it's on a record label I know for a fact.
Good for them.
Oh yeah.
Can I just say, referencing what you were saying about the singer on the intro, what I really liked about that song, there's a tendency when you've got a sort of pacier riff to try and, or singers a lot of the time tend to add pacier vocals to it. What I really like, there was a pacier riff there, but the approach the singer took was like, right, I want to add space in this song. I want to make it bigger.
Right.
And I'm not going to do that by following the same that everyone else is doing. I need to find my gaps, and it made it open up a lot more, and it was amazing. Like I really liked the thought there.
I think, because if you go and listen to the EP that Ingested is on, compared to the new one, he has definitely grown as a musician because he's also the lead singer and the guitar player.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he was trying to, I'm not trying to speak for him, but I think he was trying to figure out how to do both.
Well, as somebody who I went through that, when I was in a band, I was only doing backing vocals, but I'd never sung before, and we were at practice, and it was like an ordeal for me learning how to play and sing.
It's multitasking, that's what it is.
Yeah, it is. And like now, a lot of years later, I've learned that my instrument is drums really, and not guitar, and I've got more limb independence like that. But learning to separate my brain from my guitar playing, I found almost impossible. Like, and the ability there to separate what he's playing rhythm wise on the guitar and have separate rhythms and gaps for his vocals at the same time is not an easy thing to do, and it takes some congratulating.
No, it really doesn't. But I truly like what Hamar has done. There's them and 2 other bands out of Indiana that has done this. They have adapted the HM2 sound, the fuzz sound, the buzzsaw sound, and they've just made it their quote unquote own. But I mean, it's already been done before.
Well, I think what they've done, like one of the notes I've written is that it's because I do a lot of producing and stuff. People don't realise how much of a guitar tone is the bass tone, and how much that changes how a guitar sound changes. And you can use like HM2 and change the bass sound around it, and it will drastically change how that guitar sounds. And like that song, it's more like the guitar sound is more bass driven. They're using sort of fuzzier tone with the top end took off, and using the guitar as the top end of the bass almost. And
I agree with you, but to switch it up, like with RH, like when I started writing, sure, I wanted the meat and potatoes, but I also took a step back and was like, you know what? I want more high gain. I want a little bit more crunchy, so everybody can hear this is the bass tone, this is the guitar.
Yeah. I feel like it's something not enough bands put enough thought into. Who sits where they're when they're playing,
right?
And trying to shape your tones to give each other space.
Yeah, but I also wanted to sound heavily full too. So it with not saying anything against the past bass player and Aaron, but it has grown tremendously since then. Yeah, because like you listen to that first. The Blood Brother Trials EP, and it is very, you see what's coming. And plus that Blood Brother Trials was all done DIY. We actually recorded it at our lead singer's mom's house in her basement. Shout out to Mama Hustle for letting us be loud in her house. And then we cut the vocals actually at our lead singer's now house, which is our practice space. We did all DIY, and shout out to Isaac Stansberry from No Advocate for the things that man did to that album, because again, it was all DIY. You go and listen to it, you could hear that the production, but we wanted to start from the ground up. Build like the new stuff that we're going to be recording, and whenever that happens, you're definitely going to hear growth.
Because I can't hear it in my head to compare, but like you were saying about how you wanted to add more gain to your guitar sound, and sometimes the way to clear that up in the recording sense would be to take a bit of the gain off the bass.
Oh yeah.
So it's a bit squarer, and it slots in. You can turn the gain up on the guitar there, because a lot of people tend to, if they want more gain, turn the gain up on everything, and it kills everything at the same time. Whereas you need to turn it down on other things sometimes to give your guitar more. And so how would you say between the old bass sound and the new bass sound, what would you say the approach, is it an approach to playing that's changed, or is it a fundamental tonal thing?
It's a kind of a mixture of everything. And again, I'm not talking shit.
No. Just musically.
Musically. So Aaron has a bigger rig compared to what the old bass player had. The old bass player had a 412 GK. Aaron brings to the table a Ampeg bridge.
A lot more headroom for a start.
Oh, yeah.
Gives you, as I was just saying, a squarer, less compressed gain sound.
The bass player, he had an Alpha Omega running into an EQ pedal. Aaron has a Mega Bass head, if I'm not per se saying that right. But he runs into two pedals, and I can't honestly right now. I know one of them's a big muff, but I can't remember what else. He also has another pedal that he uses and then his
shaped it in his own way.
Yes, and then the old bass player was more, because he was a guitar player turned bass player, he had more of a approach to the songwriting and the playing live as what a guitar player, he would play along with me.
Yeah.
As to where Aaron, he actually stands by himself.
Yeah, he's a rhythm.
He is a rhythm. He goes off. I know he sometimes goes off of, he kind of does a mixture of all three. He goes off the rhythm of the drums. He does his own thing, but he also goes off of me at the same time.
As I was saying, I've recently, the last year, I've been learning drums, and I've found I've got a bit of a natural affinity for it. But my musical journey, I started out playing guitar when I was about 6, and I struggled along and had some lessons and stopped, and then stopped playing and started again, and but I always played on my own in my room.
Right.
I always wanted to play bass. And like that was always from when I was a kid. I used to point out my dad used to play Beatles songs on the way to our holiday in the car.
Right.
And I'd always be going on about Paul McCartney's bass lines. And my dad always, even when I was like 7 or 8, my dad would go, nobody listens to the bass players in bands. And like I'd always just want. And so when I was 16, I got a bass and I naturally took to it. Like, it's still the instrument that I pick up and I don't have to think about at all. And it just happens. And I've played in indie bands, metal bands, funk bands, and I seem to have the bass player's way of thinking, which, as you say, is the job of a bass player is to take the melody of whichever the main instrument is of the melody, the vocals or the guitar or whatever, and the rhythm of the drums, and then find the space between all of the instruments and play the melody to the rhythm. That's what, and most guitar players, when they pick up a bass, think their job is to play the riff. Yeah. And that's not what the bass player's there to do. He's there to find the gap between the riff and the drums and link the two together by playing the melody.
And that's how I kind of started. In like my first metal record, quote unquote, was the Last Action Hero soundtrack, and then I found Metallica, and then I picked up the bass and started really grinding it out. And then I went from being a bass player to a drummer, from a drummer to a bass player again, and then went to a lead singer spot, and now here I am as a guitar player in Ruthless Hustle.
Oh yeah, you're hitting all the bases.
You tend to find,
I see what you did there.
You tend to find that musicians will move around instruments to try and find what works for them. But and like especially nowadays with it being easier to record and play and stuff at home.
Right.
And obviously there's all the famous stories of the bass player being the ex-guitar player of a band like in the early days and stuff like that. And so like sometimes it is a bit of a journey finding what your instrument is. Like over the years I love playing guitar, but I find it so difficult, and it's a long process for me to write stuff on guitar, and I have to think about every step of it, and like it's difficult. Bass I can just pick up, and I almost get annoyed when I'm recording when it comes to the bass, because I do it too easily and too quickly, and I just want to keep playing bass. And I'm like, oh well, I've done it perfectly now, and what's the point in keeping playing? But now I've started learning drums. I've found that like, because obviously I've got the rhythm side of thinking more than the melody side.
Right.
I've found drums quite an interesting thing to learn, and like the limb independence I've found quite easy. Apparently, like, I thought it was difficult, but I've got a friend who took drum lessons when he was younger for a year, and I'd been playing for a month, and he went, I had a year's worth of drum lessons and I couldn't do that, and it just turned out I can do it because I can think rhythmically. And then I learnt to sing in my specific style because it's the only thing I can do, and I needed a singer.
Right.
But I don't enjoy it, and I find it very difficult.
Out of all the instruments I have played, I would say like the one that I was so scared to do in front of a crowd was actually playing guitar. And again, shout out to Isaac Stansberry. He actually got me to come up out of my shell. Like I was always doing like Facebook Lives and noodling around, but I never was playing in front of people, and I was scared. But he got me comfortable. I think it was just through talking, and I think it was also polishing up my tone, polishing up my playing as much as possible.
It's a confidence thing, the playing.
It was a very much a confidence thing, and the biggest thing where like previous band I had played at the big stage. That's again 45 minutes, and Ruthless Hustle got to play on the main stage to almost a packed house. It was damn near a packed house. Awesome. One of our biggest influences. And I would be sitting here lying if I didn't tell you I had butterflies in my stomach, but I knew as soon as I touched that stage, it was time to flip the switch, and it's time to perform and entertain.
Well, nerves are a good thing if you learn how to use them properly.
I don't know how to use them properly because I know I've grown to
practice.
In practice, yes, but I've grown to, and even back when I was in my previous band as a drummer, I would still get so nervous. But I got to that point where I flip a switch and it would turn into an adrenaline rush, and I had to learn to control that.
Yeah, but that is you using them. That's the point. You just don't see it as that. Like, that is you're learning to go, right, okay, no, this sharpens me up. I've just got to learn to breathe while I'm doing it. And
even if today, like if it's a small venue and I'm only playing to 5 people, I get nervous. And it's like, okay, but they paid money to come see us perform. I got to deliver.
I've always said, though, being nervous is just a sign that you give a shit. Like, if you're not nervous, you don't really care how well it's going to go. And like I say, as long as you learn to use that, like my downside when it's the gigs I played, most of them were as a guitar player, and like I say, I didn't find guitar easy, and I also don't find performing easy. And I think it's something people need to understand. It's a side of music you actually have to learn how to play in front of people by doing it and just getting things wrong over and over and going, actually, no, it's okay.
The only shows where I actually went on stage mad was because I knew or found out that they were a piece of crap promoters. And this could tie into the next song too, which is Lies Hold the Crown. We wrote that song like I was influenced by the main guitar riff. That na 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 na. That was my lead singer. He was playing his guitar in front of me one day, and I recorded him playing that riff, and I took it home, and that became the main staple riff in Lies Hold the Crown. And that song is that song is about shitty ass promoters that have taken advantage of local musicians through the years. And we were both influenced by that. And I absolutely love that song. Some people in the band are like, that's kind of our bastard song. I like it because there's a lot going on in such little space.
Yeah, it's well worked out. That's one of the things I noted in that song. It's like you can hear that it's been worked on.
And to quote Matt Reach, that was my first time going into a guitar solo. Like, there's 2 guitar solos in that whole album. One is me, one is not me. The second one is Isaac Stansberry playing the solo in Smoking Song.
Oh yeah, let's actually play the song. People can check it out. This is Ruthless Hustle, Lies Hold the Crown.
Always after what they can get to your pain. They me up. I'm on to your shit, your lines won't catch me up. You better get a grip, your lines won't catch me up. I'm on to your shit, your lines won't catch me up.
Like, I really like you saying in the intro to that song that like you like how busy it is but well worked out.
Yeah.
The things I've written in my notes, because a lot of them reference that. Like, I really liked the lead part.
Mm-hmm.
As we were saying earlier, there's like a rhythm lead, guitar part, but the melody part's got like a call and response nature to it, split into two bits. And I really like that.
What I really like, if people are paying attention, is how like the lead goes off by itself, but the bass and the drums stay together. And it painted a beautiful picture and how that came together.
I really like, as I said, the guitar part alternates while the rhythm section's doing a separate thing, which I really like. Yeah. And then it's got like really, like we were saying earlier, a good blend of fuzzy guitars and chunky bass sort of worked together as one thing that worked really well. And then the drums I love any drummer that uses bells a lot. Bells are my thing.
Right. Well, and fun little story that both of you will enjoy. That drum sound that you hear is the same drum sound that I carried for the longest time with my previous band that you both love.
Oh, right.
That's my drum set.
Yeah, well, because I've written notes about both of your songs about how I really like the drum sounds.
Thank you.
On both of those songs, because recording drum sets is not an easy thing to get right.
No, and not saying nothing about the past drummer or the current drummer in Ruthless Hustle, but I think the plus side, and both of them had said this coming into the project, they were very thankful that I knew what I know about drums and could help guide them of what they want.
Yeah. Because speaking from experience, when I'd been recording at home digitally myself for probably 10 years, and I was in a band, and we went to a studio to do some recording. Yeah. Before we went in, we did some ghost takes, because we were like, the best thing to do, instead of wasting time in the studio doing ghost takes to track 2, we'll get them recorded ourselves. Like, we'll set metronomes, get everything, and so when we go in, we've got something to play to ready. And the guy we got a local lad who we knew, who was in a band, and he came in and he was like, look, I'll do the recording. And we set up in just our practice space, and he mic'd up the drum kit and ran it all into a mixer in another room. And at this point, I got no experience of that side of recording, like proper equipment. I was just a USB interface kind of guy. But all of us, he did such a good job on the drum sound on those ghost takes. When we went into the studio, we were like, the ghost take drums sound better than the studio drums. And it caused a bit of a problem, because our drummer was like, no, I want to re-record. And we were like, but we've got such a good drum sound from that hall at practice. We kind of don't want you to retrack them, because this room we're in sounds shit compared to that. Right. And it's difficult to get a good drum sound.
The one thing, like, after we had recorded this album, I in this aspect, I do worry about what people like and what they won't like. And the one thing I knew I was going against the grain again with this band, I was wondering who's going to like it. And that stemmed into, like, everybody as far as local, but like as far as like the metal club that I'm a part of, and it actually got a really big positive response. Like,
I really like that.
Yeah, the sound production, how the structure was, and because if anybody that knows the NYDM, it's very, I wouldn't say gatekeepish, but they're very tight knit on what they like. And the response, because not only did they hear, like, you know, the chunkiness of the guitar, but the other thing, and I forgot that I had done this, but in one of the songs I did a black metal tremolo picking, and a lot of them gravitated to that. And yeah, I was very happy. And I've been in the NYDM club for a good close to 9-10 years. And that's another thing, like as far as influence that I've picked up through the years is, and tried to push into this project. And it's been hellacious. Hellacious in a bad way.
One of the things I was going to say, one of the things that pisses me off the most, and I'm so glad that, like you said, what you said, one of the things that pisses me off the most is producers who force their sound onto a band, because that's become the sort of modern trend. In the past, producers, their job was to hear a band, hear how to make that band sound great, and do that. Whereas now there is a tendency to, you go in a studio and they go, right, I want you to use this amp and that drum kit, and that's changing your band. Do you know what I mean? And
And I get that. I guess I'm one of those from the left and right side of the coin. Like, I'm open to suggestions, but if it doesn't sound like how I want to approach this, I don't want to touch it.
No, that's cool. Like, that's the way you should be. But like, I just mean there is a tendency now with a lot of people who record bands, and I'm, like I say, I'm one of them, because I only really know how to do things one specific way. So if somebody wants me to record them, they're going to have to do it my way, which is going to sound like me. And it's not meant to. It's supposed to sound like them. And like that's what I think happens with a lot of metal now. There is a tendency for producers to make a band change when they come in. And you're like, no, you're supposed to change. We're supposed to play, and you're supposed to work out how to make it sound good. Like, you're not supposed to take that out of the equation to make it easy.
Right. Yeah, and now, like, the ongoing future with RH, I've just wanted to push this band a little bit past. I mean, 3 years deep into this band, and now it's like, okay, I want to push that next step. I want to go. I mean, we played out of state twice. We played out of state twice. I want us to go past Indiana. I want us to go to Chicago more often. I want us to go. I should say Illinois, Wisconsin, Michigan, and everything like that.
What I've heard, I think you should, because like I've said, your band sounds like you're taking it seriously, and you're thinking about where the space is and how to help each other as well as be yourselves at the same time.
Right.
And having experience of being in bands, that doesn't always happen. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes there's a guy in there who's kind of wants control over everything.
Right.
And it can influence, and it can piss people off as well, because you end up being in a band and going, look, I want to sound like me, not like you. Right. And like, there's a craft to working on it, and it makes good music, is what I'm saying. Right. And you can hear that in what you're recording. So you should try and get out there more.
Yep. Thank you.
Oh yeah, man. We hope everything works out for Ruthless Hustle. We hope we get some new music soon. For anybody that hasn't heard Ruthless Hustle, today you got to listen to 2 tracks. Make sure to get over to, what do you guys have? Just Facebook and
we have,
YouTube page?
Here's a list. We have the Facebook page. You can also reach out to me on Instagram and TikTok, because I post on there. We also have Bandcamp. We also have YouTube Music, iTunes, and Pandora. We go through Kanaki, which distributes through
to all the major.
Yep.
Okay, so you guys took care of everything social media wise. So go find Ruthless Hustle on any one of those platforms and show them some love.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is a professional.
Yeah, hit everything, because if it brings one person one way, they might find you another way. Somebody that found you through Bandcamp might like your YouTube page or your Facebook page, and vice versa. Yep. So
I mean, the plus side about having Bandcamp, not only does it get your music out, but it also can be used as a merch store too. So if you want any of our merch, we have our shirts, dog tags, stickers, our coloring books, posters,
and everybody. The thing to remember with Bandcamp is the most of the money goes to the band when you use Bandcamp. iTunes stuff is all great, but Bandcamp is basically nearly all of the money goes to the band. So just
isn't it on Fridays if I'm not mistaken.
First Fridays of every month.
First Friday of every month, the band gets a better cut. So order throughout the year if you want, but if you can happen to order on the first Friday of the month, that is when the bands will get a higher cut of their stuff. And so that's a good day to order from. But
you should plug Bandcamp more often, Adam, because I can't say enough good things about Bandcamp.
Yeah, I mean, Bandcamp as an entity is awesome. It's just as cool as our favorite thing, which is We Transfer. I mean, not We Sponsor.
I made more money in 4 hours on Bandcamp when I moved over because I put stuff on Spotify for 5 years. I made 4 times more money in 4 hours on Bandcamp than I had ever made on everything else in 5 years.
And I think a good thing with that is most bands now, any band that's even a semi-serious band, knows how to set up their Bandcamp page, get that going. Like Corey just said, it's also great because you can use it as a merch store. One thing that I really like about it that's never talked about is its own social network inside of Bandcamp. You get followers, and then you can click on those followers to see who they're listening to. And if you want
to send a message to everyone that buys my stuff on Bandcamp, just saying thank you.
Right. Oh, and that too. And the emails that you can get directly from the bands. I mean, as far as music sharing goes and promotion for your own media, for, like Corey said, anything from coloring books to dog tags to T-shirts, it can all be done on one website. So can't say enough good things about Bandcamp.
And I would like to also add, if any promoter that does listen to this podcast and want to book a show with Ruthless Hustle, please just message us on our Facebook. We will all see it. It's all linked together. We're all linked to that one. So just message Ruthless Hustle.
Fantastic.
On Facebook.
All right, very good. Any promoters that want to book Ruthless Hustle, that's how you get in contact with them. Hit them up on the Facebook page. This has been really good. We had a lot of fun today. I'm glad that Corey got to join us. Corey's been listening to Black Tornado pretty much since the inception. So to have him...
Thank you both.
Yeah, of course. To have him come back during the much better reboot of the show is really cool. And it is fun how this kind of turned into an Indiana-themed episode without that meaning to be what happened. So that was really cool. All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Black Tornado Podcast. It was a lot of fun having Corey with us. And let us know how much you liked it. Maybe we'll have Corey back in the future. We'll do Indiana Part 2. We'll bring him back. All right. As always, I have been your host, Adam.
I've been here.
And thank you very much to our pal, Corey Stump from Ruthless Hustle.
Thank you very much.
All right. Y'all take care. Have a good one.